Well, we all have been wondering, when are we going to have this great shift in consciousness? And in this week's message, the angels are trying to answer that question for us. So they talk about that the shift that each of us makes is going to be a mix between the shift that we are making personally in terms of our own healing, in terms of really it's about our accepting who we are, loving all parts of ourselves, all our memories and experiences, learning to come to terms to peace and to love with all parts of ourselves. And then the other part of it is going to be the waves of energy that are coming to the planet to give us a great big boost to help us get there. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. It is great to have you here. And for those of you who are new, my name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And by that, I mean I go into a deep meditative state or trance. And from there, I raise my awareness as high as I can go. I go a little higher. I connect at the angelic realm. And then messages, information, and healing come through. And I share it here with you guys on YouTube. So this week's message, as I was saying, it's a beautiful one. This one has so many phrases that I absolutely love that just speak to me. And just the way that they explain things, it's so clear and at the same time so poetic. So this week's message is really speaking to that desire to know, and they're trying to help us to understand why it is going to be such an individual thing that each of us, like that, even though they've said, and they say in the message, there will be collective moments where we have the great aha. They say, well, we will stand in celebration, that we will say that is, and they've said before that when the flash of light comes, it'll be the moment we look back on and say that is the moment that changed everything. But then in addition to that, there's still more that we can do. And that's going to be a personal journey. And that's about our own acceptance of who we are. So they talk about it, like I said, in much more depth. I do go into the explanation into a little bit more about my understanding. We don't know the timing of things. The angels have never really, they don't tell us the timing. I think some of it is because it is going to be unique for each of us. Like we're going to be growing throughout our entire lifetime, but they have given us information about the sequence of things. So, and I mentioned that a little bit at the end of our description of the content. So I usually share the content or share the message and then afterwards go through and break it down. But I know you guys are curious, so I will just repeat here what I remember that they've said about the timing of the sequence of things. They have said that the flash of light, the big wave of light, and there's 3 waves, but the first wave they have just told us is a flash of light. And that they've said that happens in the middle of the ruckus, in the middle of everything else. So they've told us about a lot of different events and things that are going to be happening on the planet, including a big earth rift. They've talked about the separation of the United States. They've talked about crazy war. They've talked about all this economic disruption, massive banking problems. So they talked about all this stuff. So in the middle of all that ruckus is when the flash of light comes. So they have also said that, and so I think that the flash of light, they said it's soon, but they keep saying the flash of light is very soon. So I think that and they've said that we are right on the brink of things increasing rapidly. So I think a lot of these events that they've described are going to be unfolding within the next couple of years. So, and they described that the war and they've been talking about the war for some time. Now we are seeing it, right? Now we have wars, we've got wars breaking out everywhere. And they have said that the earth rift is what puts a stop to the wars. That it's almost as if, imagine that there's wars being fought all over the place. And then there's this, and I don't mean to laugh at that, it's horrible, but it's just that it's hard to even wrap your head around how much it has been increasing. The energy of war has been increasing. But then it's almost like there's a big earth rift that then makes everybody drop what they're doing and realize that that we need each other. And that's kind of the feeling of it. So that's as much as I have in terms of, at least we have a sense of like when, so we can kind of track and say, when is this happening? Okay, then that's going to happening. So we are now into the phase, like they talked about the banking crisis. That is underway. We saw the first stages of that in the first crash of Silicon Valley Bank, but that's not done yet. So they first talked about that back in 2020. That is now unfolding. They talked about war. We're in the thick of that now, and I think it's increasing. And then in the middle of all that, the earth rift, and then somehow at some point in the ruckus, which could be war, ruckus could be earth rift. My guess is it's probably somewhere in the war time. I don't know. Then we have a flash of light that comes. So, and I think all this is going to unfold. I mean, they keep saying angelic soon. We don't know when soon is, but we are seeing some of the stuff they started talking about 2 years ago are happening. They've started happening even then, but some of the bigger events are happening now. So yeah, so we'll just keep an eye on it and watch it as it goes, and just know the main reason they tell us is not because they want us to run around scurrying trying to prepare, because they said we can't prepare for what we don't understand. But the real reason is so that we are not caught flat-footed, so that we're not scared, so that when things happen we can say, oh yeah, they mentioned this is going to happen and everything's going to be okay, and that we can stay in our highest spiritual perspective, right? That we can remember that things are going to be all right, that even when bad things happen, not everything will happen everywhere, right? That things will happen, that there's all these major events happening, but very few of them all happen in the same place. So like right now, there's multiple wars all over the planet, and how many are happening where you live? Not many of you are living in a war zone right now. So most of you are watching this from some safe and comfortable place, because the world is a very, very large place. So we can have all of these events happening and you can still be fine at home. And it doesn't mean that things won't change. Like they've talked about that there will be change, and we have to release our attachment to having the things and things being as easy as they've always been. There might be a period we go through that's kind of like what, like rationing is the best way I can describe it, where they've said that we won't have, it's not that we won't have anything, it's that we won't have everything, if that makes sense. So there'll still be things will be available. We will still have an economy. We will still have planes, and there will be cars on the road, but just not as many, they said. And this is speaking about where, I know the world is a big place and it's different in every place, but just in terms of understanding that, to not be afraid about what they describe, and to not think of it as like, a thing where you have to just panic, because we're not meant to. They have said that we're meant to have water, to have ways to purify your water, hopefully ways that don't require power. So I have a Berkey filter. That's one that's gravity fed. Some people like it, some people don't. That's the one I bought. There's lots of small, like inexpensive, like Life straws, are like $10. And that's a way of doing it. But they said there's multiple brands of that. So please do your research to discover. There's so many new things that are out on the market that you can use to, like a gravity fed type filtration system that eliminates viruses from your water without power or boiling. That's what you're looking for. And it can be, personal. You can get, they come to like water cups that literally have filters in them. So yeah, so there's lots of things out there, but they have said that many, many times, that is a good thing for everyone to have. And having a back stock of food is not a bad idea. It's like having rice and beans. It does not have to be a big investment. Because like I said, it's not that there won't be anything available. There just won't be everything available. So you're just kind of looking to supplement is the idea. Have a few things set by. You doesn't have to spend a lot of money. Go buy a big bag of rice and a big bag of beans and say, good, I'm done. And then stop thinking about it and relax and be ready for the good things to come. Because that is what this is about. This is about moving from the karmic path to the dharmic path. This is about moving to a state of being where we are able to ride the wave, and we are able to create in the moment, and we are no longer reliving our karmic patterns, right? Constantly repeating the wounds that are inside of us, trying desperately to see ourselves, right? Instead, we have this beautiful sixth sight, right? This sixth sense that gives us perception and intuition into one another, so that we get to a space not only of self-love, but of unity and love of one another. And then from that space, when we're in a space of trust and love and self-acceptance, we are able to ride the wave where we are creating in the moment in this amazing place called Earth, right? Where we get to create in the moment and learn about ourselves as we go. So this is what's in store for us. Like, this is what's possible. And it's so exciting. So, and I just went off on a tangent there, but I just thought it was important to talk about some of that stuff, because I know some of you have not gone back and listened to the old videos. So sometimes I'd like to kind of refer back and say, this is where we are. This is what they've told us. There's loads of information in the past videos. But I know a lot of you are really interested to know, like when and how and what, and that is what this message is about. So we will get into it. So just so you know, if you, and the angels talk about this, that it is super important that we continue to work on our own healing. And there's lots of different ways you can do that. If you have healers, every healer is meant to have a healer. We are all meant to have help in our process of self-understanding and working through our junk. And if you do not yet have a regular practice, I have Peace Bathing is this Sunday, and you are super invited to come join us. It is a reasonably priced once a month meditation, healing meditation with the angels. And then you're meant to use the meditation all month long. Every time you use it, it opens up a connection between you and the angels. So you can bring your issues, bring your worries, your concerns in real time every time you do the meditation, and they will work with you. So it's a beautiful way to help you through this shift. So I'll put the link here and in the link down below. So if you want to join us, it's this Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific over Zoom. So I hope you can make it if it speaks to you. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into the message. Blessings. We bring to you a message from the unknown, a message by which you can surmise tomorrow, when it will arrive, how far it will come, to take you down into the acceptance of all that is unfolding, into the letting go, into the forging of a next instantiation of who you are. Today's suffering will not be allowed, will not be felt as though it is an eternal method by which you are incorporated to this earth. Suffering, as it has been known, a blanketed perception of all things that tear at you in separation, isolation, forging instead of a bond between you, creating within you anxiety and tendencies to separate further from who you are. We wish to draw your attention to the nexus of the whole, to the incorporation thus far completed, to what you are becoming, to this centrally held focal point of the all that is. You are nearer to this now than ever before. There is a rising sensation from within that you are being called to come forward, to draw closer, to come nearer to this joining with each other. What shall it be like? How shall you come forward? When shall this time of separation begin? When shall the current that undoes the great disasters of this past century run through and demolish what has been in need of relinquishing? And we say the timing of this governs what is withholding within your own understanding. The timing of this is a point of connection, a point, an umbrella which envelops you all, taking down now what has been harbored within your understanding, the context and the solutioning by which you endeavor to live your lives as they are in a frequency of avoidance. But the timing as such does draw you together into the now, into a placement of yourself where it cannot be avoided, where all things come to center, as though you are drawn by magnetic point, as though you are pulled from within the inner longings
for one another, toward one another. You are drawn to the great center of the whole of what you are. To perceive it thus, as a central sun that you are part of, as a magnetic point of reference that can draw you forward, you need only lean in now and feel it calling. The temerity of the times adjacent, which draw you backward, which pull you against this flow, they are stronger. Yet, still, they are stronger than the pull to come forward. They draw you into hesitation, limitation, suspicion, and judgment. But they are faltering. They are crumbling now. Even as we speak, they are drawing into their own clothes and finding themselves ricocheted from within by the violence and indeterminate malevolence which is found there. You will find yourselves repelled by this increasingly and drawn to the center. The center of what? The center of who and how. It is yourselves, dears. It is the truth of who you are. It is the unity that lives within each and combines you all together. It is the sense of who you are as one and one another. It is the sense of yourself as rising into a new time frame. And poignant, yes, we hold aloft the barrier to your knowledge. When? When shall it arrive for us? When shall we come full term? When shall we reach the pinnacle of our own expression? And we say the timing holds you thus, still, assembled, ready, and accumulating what is needed within your hearts, within your energy. The forces must conspire between you. The timing, gently known, must beat to a rhythm of your own congruence. It must come through you, for you. It must rise within you. It cannot be done in a solitary manner. It must come from around, within, and through you. And the timing will happen as you are supplied the energy of your own focus. It will come to and through you as you are ready to allow it, as your own nature becomes freed, as your self-reliance increases, and your sense of otherhood is developed. In the unknown, the template of love will change, and who you are and have suffered to become will not be as you are currently known. You will feel yourself as one another, with one another, for one another. It is not as it has been. And the timing, the time frame will change now as you incorporate more of what is energy, more of what is allowing, what is graceful within your own heart, as you open within to receive the blanketing tendrils of energy that weave their way through this plane of existence. They are moving across the surface even now as we are speaking, finding, holding, relieving you of the pressures that you have known, lifting you as though you alone have been selected. But to know within your heart that oneness pervades all in this instantiation of humanity, that all move forward who care to, all are drawn into the rhythm of this ascension, should they only release their attachment to what is and allow the new, the unknown, to take hold into fruition. The timing, therefore, is driven partly by what is within you, by what is held in your own hearts. There will be moments of ascension between you. There will be shared experiences, ungovernable, which shall come and lift you into a celebratory pose of having risen, moments upon which you can dwell and remind one another you are cared for. There are times in the near now which shall rise in between and lift you. Ascension in your own frequency is driven partly by these external forces and partly by the rhythms within, by your own heart beating into the new. Thus, the timing for each of you shall be governed by your own choices, by your own dignity of expression, by your own willingness to allow it there. We say, have no fear of being left behind, of losing focus, of being left below in some other choice. For you are with us. You are with us in every moment, in every day, in every second. And in the thoughts that pass, in the sufferings that are felt, you may be drawn into a temporary regretful feeling. But this we know and can allow, and know within your choices, within the source of your own divine aspirations, there is wisdom that speaks you here, that draws you to this change, that draws you to this surrendering, and you will make this voyage with us. We bring you peace and the suggestion to raise your own vibration, to draw into your own hearts what can be light, what can be tolerated, even higher. Now your perception may climb. More of yourself is waiting for discovery. You may simply open your heart to what you are. Allow yourself to be and become your fullest. To see what you are, a blessing through and through all parts, all aspects, all memories of you must be held as sacred. And in this process, you alleviate from yourself the resistance that draws you from us. For we are what you are. And as you callously reject the tender parts of your own soul, we are rejected with you. We draw you to us in the gentlest of embraces and whisper our prayers of ascension.
All right, you guys, awesome message, right? Like so many beautiful moments in that message, so many beautiful phrases. I just love it. So really, really beautiful one. And they are talking about, you guys know that, so in this message, they're referencing the flash of light that's coming. They talked about it as a wave of light, a flash of light that's going to be hitting the planet. And they talk about that here. But they say that each of us is going to be rising at our own pace. That each of us, they say no one's going to be left behind, that basically we have our whole lives to do this, that it's an increasing thing, that it's not a thing that's all at once. It's a thing we can achieve, like every moment gets better, so there's nothing wrong with it taking the time that it needs to take. But they're also saying that there will be these sort of big moments, the big flashes of light that boost all of us, that we can all collectively feel, that give us the sort of the giant leg up. But then aside from that, they said the other part of it comes from us. And that's due to our own inner work. And specifically, they name that it is our acceptance of who we are. So it's really looking at all parts of ourselves and loving all parts of ourselves. So there can't be anything that we squish down or repress or try not to feel or try not to remember. That there has to be all things that we make peace. It's really making peace with ourselves. So if there's things that we'd rather avoid, and this, so you remember in the message, it was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, they talked about how that we're supposed to be living really in the now and not dwelling on the past. And so that brought up a lot of questions for people. It's like, well, how are we supposed to heal if we're not supposed to remember the past? And the angel's answer would be, and was, that the emotions of the past, they might have been created in the past, but those emotions live only in the present moment. That the woundings of our past are alive and well, like conscious beings that are in the now inside of us. And so we work with those conscious beings, those conscious emotions, those energies that are alive in the now. And we can trigger them through memory, right? If they come forward, but we don't want to become those memories. We don't want to relive them in the sense that we become them again. We want to see them as the spiritual observer that comforts. So say it's a memory from 2 years old or 3 years old or 5 years old. You go back to that child and see them as someone who is you, but is outside of you, right? Who is next to you. And you comfort them as the current modern day self that you are. And you raise those emotions that live in the now and heal them. So that's what they're saying. They want us to make peace with all aspects of who we are and bring it up into the present moment and heal it and really acknowledge all parts. And that is how we do our part. So that's how we raise our frequency. Because every moment, every spot of resistance, think of it as like we're in this flow, in this beautiful river, going towards this ascension, and that everywhere that we are in resistance to anything that's inside of us is like a giant rock in the river. And the more rocks we have, the more rapids we've got, the crazier and choppier the water, the rougher the ride, the more it slows it down. So that's the goal, is to try to remove as much friction as we possibly can. Yeah. So, and you're saying about the message, you're saying this is so beautiful. I thought so too. And then Carrie said that part where they said that we are rejected when we don't love ourselves. I know, right? That was one of I highlighted that one to make a quote out of for Ivy, because I just love that one. I put that on the top. I thought that was just stunning. Yeah. So if you guys want, let's go ahead and break it down and talk through each paragraph if we can. Just a second, I'm gonna stick, because I'm trying to hold my phone since my video wasn't working here. We're just jerry-rigging this today, but it's working, and that's what matters. All right, so let's dig in to the message and go through paragraph by paragraph. So here is the first paragraph. They say, blessings. We bring to you a message from the unknown, a message by which you can surmise tomorrow, when it will arrive, how far it will come to take you down into the acceptance of all that is unfolding, into the letting go, into the forging of the next instantiation of who you are. So this first paragraph, they usually kind of give us an indication of where they're headed in the first paragraph. And I really love how here they're saying they're bringing us a message from the unknown. Like, what is it that we all keep asking them? It is what? Like, when? Like, when is this going to happen? So here's the unknown. The things we don't know is like, how is this all going to unfold exactly? When is it going to happen? All the things we would love to know. At least we think we want to know it, right? And then they say a message. So they're bringing us a message from there. So a message by which you can surmise tomorrow, so we can guess, an educated guess about it, right? When it will arrive, how far it will come to take you down into the acceptance of the unfolding. So interesting phrasing, to take us down. So I think this is a reference that it's like we are meant to go into ourselves, going down into. This is that idea of that retrieving our emotions, feeling our feelings, all of that into the acceptance of what's coming. So this is a referral to what they're talking about later, how important it is to do our own healing, right? Into the acceptance of ourselves, which is the acceptance of all that's unfolding, right? So, and then into the letting go, into the forging of the next instantiation of who we are. And letting go is letting go of all of our expectations about what's going to come, and all of the plans that we've laid so carefully. It is totally great to have plans and goals. Like, they want us, they've said many, many times, they want us to invest in our lives and to invest in our goals, because the energy we create now is constant, that it will carry us into the future. So they want us to make plans and to have goals. So, but they don't want us to be so attached to how those are going to develop. So, we might have an idea of what we want to accomplish, but it's better if we think about how we want to feel, how we want to serve, how we want to be engaged in our lives, and then be not necessarily have ideas about what form that will take, but be open to something showing up that's even better, right? That's kind of the idea. And you finally caught alive. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. You say, I'm glad you could make it. So just double checking on our comments here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, just making sure. It's a little bit hard to track because I'm trying to do this both on the phone and on my computer at the same time. It's Mercury retrograde. As I said, we're having some technical difficulties, but it's working so far. So I'm happy, even if we have to kludge it together. All right. So next paragraph, they say, today's suffering will not be allowed, will not be felt as though it is an eternal method by which you are incorporated to this earth. Suffering, as it has been known, a blanketed perception of all things that tear at you in separation, isolation, forging instead of a bond between you, creating within you anxiety and tendencies to separate further from who you are. So this is really, I think, a beautiful response to the theme they've mentioned over and over again, that we will not have karma in the same way that we do today. As we go through this process, shifting our consciousness, we move from the karmic to the dharmic path. And what that is sort of like karma is, and the way I use karma, that term, what I mean by that is as a judgment that we've made against ourselves, not as an external judgment that someone's made against us, but as where we judge ourselves and think that that we've got amends to make or things to do differently. That it's basically living according to judgments of ourselves. And the dharmic path is the way the angels have described it, that it's like riding the crest of a wave, where reality comes up to meet you and you are experiencing yourself in the present moment, responding to the present moment and making changes to your reality based on that, where we have enough presence of mind and spiritual awareness to respond to our reality from this perspective of being loving of ourselves and reacting in such a way that we can grow from our reality in the moment. So it's a really different perspective. It's like where we don't have to think it through so much, that we can react and respond and move into the next moment and change instantly. That every moment we create a new us, right? That's the dharmic path. That it is much freer than the karmic path. We're not just constantly returning and reliving old patterns, which is what we do in our karmic experience. Like that, our reality is projected unconsciously from us, and we are reliving those moments, trying desperately to see ourselves. That's the karmic path. The dharmic path is where we are fresh in every single moment, and we're working with our reality like it's Play-Doh, and we're creating something new in every moment from who we are at that moment, and learning from it by what happens. Yeah, by what happens as we create. And then we take that in the moment, we adjust, we grow. Like it's a very different experience. It's very conscious. And we don't really do that now for the most part. So that's what this is talking about, that letting go of that karmic experience, which is where suffering is. That as we are right now, humans don't really change unless we have to. But we tend to not like change. And so we don't do it unless we are forced to. And so that's why we have karma. So when we have grown in our awareness and we understand that change is not painful, that change is fun, then we don't need karma, right? We don't need suffering because we're willing to change. Yeah. So here they're just saying that suffering as it is known, it's really where it's blanketed. What it is to be human, it's been everywhere, right? And it's been suffering that tear at us and separation, isolation, right? And instead of creating bonds between us, it creates anxiety and tendencies to separate further. So that has been our experience of being human up until now. Yeah. And then they go on, next paragraph, they say, we wish to draw your attention to the nexus of the whole, to the incorporation thus far completed. And nexus means, I love that choice of words because nexus has two meanings. It is the central and most important place. They want us to draw our attention to the central and most important place. It also means a connected group. How perfect is that? So it's like the unity, it's all of us. Draw our attention to the nexus of the whole, to the incorporation thus far completed, to what you are becoming, to the centrally held focal point of the all that is. You are nearer to this now than ever before. There is a rising sensation within that you are being called to come forward, to draw closer, to come nearer to this joining with each other. So this is really, they've been telling us that what is this shift in consciousness? It's all about unity consciousness. It's about getting to a place where we trust one another, where we love one another as we love ourselves. And there's bunches of ways they've said that we're going to be able to accomplish this now. They've fully admitted that we are not able to do it now and that we need help. We need to have this, the energies that are coming to the planet to help us, that it's a 50-50, that we have to allow it by allowing ourselves, by allowing us to be who we are. And then we get the boost from the energies that are coming to the planet. And that will bring us into accessing really what they're describing as a sixth sense, where we get to see each other, feel each other's feelings in a much more authentic way. And it opens us up to trusting one another and loving one another as if we, as the same, as like we love each other in the same way that we hopefully get to a place of loving ourselves completely. Yeah. And Urs is saying to love ourselves fully is very related with letting go of the past and letting go of self-judgment or judgment of the external. Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And you're saying great exploration. Oh, sorry, this is hard to do on my phone. I meditate on love and compassion. From there, the forgiveness came immediately. I'm in peace. That is beautiful. And you're saying great explanation. Thank you for that. I've been confused about Dharma and karma. Okay, great. I'm glad that was helpful. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is helpful to recognize, like it is the Dharmic way of living. Is people call it being in flow. People call it, it's that experience of where it's like you are present, but you are very, very aware of all of your team of guides and angels that are with you in every single moment. So it's almost like you are the puppet on the end of the stick and you are the driver of the train. You get to say, okay, I want to go over there. But then your team kind of helps you get there. They kind of lay the path and everything happens and you're riding the wave and you're just like experiencing as it flowing towards you. And we all have those moments, you have had moments when you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so in flow right now, where things are just happening naturally. You're not thinking about it too much. It's like, it just feels easy. And you're in a moment, you slipped into the Dharmic path, right? For a moment, you feel what it is. And then imagine being like that all the time and being supported by having this new sixth sense where you feel each other so beautifully. So that you feel always, you never have any doubt that you are loved, right? That the world is a receptive place to you. Yeah, the world loves you. Yeah. So very, very different from what it's been and extremely welcome. Yeah. So I think that's why we're all so excited about this. Why we want to know when. And they're telling us, yeah, it's going to be individual. So they go on to say in the next paragraph, so here there's really, in this paragraph, the main theme of this paragraph is that we are all being drawn into the center, which is unity consciousness, right? Which is that connected group, which means us, humanity, as well as the central and most important place. It is the nexus. Next paragraph, they say, what shall it be like? How shall you come forward? When shall this time of separation begin? When shall the current that undoes and this one, so this was early in the channeling and I missed, there's sometimes that certain words will drop and I wrote it in on my hard copy and I don't have it here. I was trying to explain this one more easily. When shall the current that undoes, and then I think I wrote in that cause the great disasters of this past century run through and demolish what has been in need of relinquishing. So that makes it easier to understand. When shall this time of separation begin? When shall the current that undoes, that causes the great disasters of this past century run through and demolish what has been in need of relinquishing? And we say the timing of this governs what is withholding within your own understanding. So this is a complicated, and there's more to this paragraph, but it's complicated. So let's break it down as we go. So they're saying that when this current, like they're describing the wave of the polycrisis as a current. So it's like the crazy disasters of this past century. There has been a current or a wave of disaster that sort of moves around the planet and hits things randomly, right? There's always disasters. And it used to be that current would cause disasters occasionally, that each disaster would be unique enough that it would stay on the front page of the paper or would be in the headline of the news for weeks. You know what I mean? We would hear about Hurricane Katrina for weeks. We would hear about the World Trade Center for weeks, months even, that it would capture the consciousness of the world. And these are U.S. events, but there's international events too that capture the consciousness of the world. The volcano in Iceland captured the consciousness of the world for a while. Everybody was talking about it. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. But you know what I mean? And that current has been going faster and faster and faster. So the polycrisis now refers to the idea that every day we have a new disaster. Every day the disasters are coming so fast and furious that there's not enough room in the day for us to pay attention to them all. So it's like we are, it's just speeding up rapidly. So then they're saying here, when does that current, the one that is creating all these disasters, when does that run through and demolish what has been in need of relinquishing? When does that current of destruction hit all the things that are holding us in place, is what they're saying here. And then they say, and here's how they answer that question. They say, and we say, the timing of this governs what is withholding within your own understanding. So, so what there's, and to relinquish something, in other words, is to voluntarily give it up. So there's another, just wanted to clarify that. They're saying what is in need of relinquishing means what do we voluntarily give up? So this refers again to this idea that we have to go through this process willingly, that it's a choice. And that the idea that we have to let go of the things that used to be, of the structures that hold us in place, that seem like safety nets, that seem like things that keep us safe, but in fact are holding us where we are. So it has to be a relinquishing where we go ahead and set them down and say, okay, I'm willing to give up these things that feel like my safety net so that I can move into something that I know is going to be much better. I just don't understand it yet. And so, okay, so then they say the timing of this governs what is withholding within your own understanding. And to withhold is to refrain from allowing or refuse to give something. So, and then they go on to say the timing of this is a point of connection, an umbrella which envelops you all. Taking down now what has been harbored within your understanding, the context and the solutioning by which you endeavor to live your lives as they are in a frequency of avoidance. So they're saying that these big disasters that are coming are part of what helps to break us free from the way that we've been. So they're saying that there is this point of withholding. Where are we withholding? Where are we holding back from the energies that are coming to the planet? And they're saying that the timing of this point, the point of the waves of disaster, is a point of connection. So the disasters are a point of connection. And that, I think, has two meanings, two very important meanings about things they've been talking about. Is not only is it a shared experience, the disasters that they've described to us, the general falling apart of a lot of the structures. And we've been going through that, but I think it's going to be increasing. They said it's going to be increasing, more chaos basically in the world. And they said that it's a point of connection because we all share it. And then it's a point of connection because it brings us all together. And it helps us to need each other, to find each other, and to value each other, right? So it's a point of connection. It is also, they say, a umbrella which envelops you all. Same idea. It's two points there. Number one, it is affecting all of us universally, the whole world. Number two, it draws us all together and connects us. Right? Taking down now what has been harbored within your understanding, which is the context and the solutioning by which you endeavor to live your lives as they are in a frequency of avoidance. So it's really about the chaos in the world is about disrupting our lives enough so that we will set down all of those structures which seem like we need them, but in fact are holding us back. Yeah, keeping us. And think about that structure like, for example, a 9-to-5 job. Right? Like how much we panic at the thought of not having that job. Like, because how are we supposed to pay rent? How are we supposed to, feed kids? Like all of it. Like, how do I ever give up that 9-to-5 job? But think about if you hate your job, if you're going to that job only because it pays the bills and it's not feeding you, it's not joyful for you in any way. And it's different. Like, it doesn't mean like every job doesn't have to be incredible. Sometimes you have a job that's meaningful to you because of the people that you serve or the people that you work with. You can carve out a very, very beautiful life being of incredible service to the people that you work with, right? And that can be meaningful. You can be a light worker working in an office doing something that might feel kind of mundane, but you may be making an incredible impact on the people around you, right? So, or the people that you serve in that job. So it doesn't mean that all of us have to become, yoga masters and start teaching, breath work or whatever. Like that's not what we all have to do. It's where do you personally find meaning? Do you find love and joy in what you're doing? And if you don't, Like if you're doing it only for the money, if every day you wake up and you're like, I'm grinding it out and I'm going to do it till I die, that's a structure that is holding you back. That's holding us back. It's so common. It's holding us back. And I get it. It's need. It's driven by, because in our 3D reality right now, it's sort of like chicken and egg. What do you give up your job? And what do? No, you can't yet. Like, I get it. It's not, the solution isn't there yet. So that's why they have to unravel the whole dang thing, right? They got to unravel all the systems and make it required that you do need to do that job. So, and that doesn't mean the whole economy is going away. They've said we will still have an economy. They've said that we will still, like life there will still be travel. There will still be cars, but less cars. They said fewer cars, but there will still be cars. There will still be planes. And I don't know how long this is or what but I just know in the near future. So in any case, life will go on to some degree, but there will be enough change that we can wiggle our way free from some of the structures that have been holding us in place in ways that are not good for us. Yeah. And you're saying, this is really resonating with me. I have 4 jobs right now. Oh my gosh. On top of being an actor, this week I was hit with an idea that I'm not giving myself space to thrive because of fear, survival, scarcity mindset is holding me back, and I'm like keeping myself small. Yes, I totally understand that. And it's like, how can you have space to breathe if you are running between 4 jobs? And I understand. It's like, how do you pay the bills? That's come up before with someone who was talking about, like, she really wanted to pursue her spiritual gifts and sharing her spiritual gifts. And she's like, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. And like, I would love to say, yeah, go for it. Except I am aware that like we have to have a runway. And so here's what I do know, that if you make space, even a little bit of space in your life to move in a positive new direction, without cutting off your foot, right? You don't have to quit the whole job. Maybe switch to a part-time, take less work, and make a little bit of space that gives enough room for your guides to step in, to start helping you, to bring you clients, to bring you what you need, or to point you in the direction to learn how to have clients, right? Because it's a process. That's a whole process, but you need a runway, because starting something new takes time. It really does. It takes learning all the new skills, and it's a process of growing and expanding. So it's a beautiful thing. But the point is that we can't just keep staying in the same stuck structure. We have to take baby steps. We have to start taking steps to restructure life so that it can support us in our joy. Yeah. So, okay. So next paragraph. But the timing as such does draw you together into the now, into a placement of yourself where it cannot be avoided, where all things come to center as though you are drawn by magnetic point, as though you are pulled from within, the inner longings for one another, toward one another. You are drawn to the great center of the whole of what you are. So this is getting back to, remember in the earlier paragraphs how they talked about that it was affecting everybody equally and drawing us together. So here they're referencing again this idea that we are drawn toward one another, right? And they're saying it can't be avoided. The timing, when they say, but the timing, they're talking about the chaos, the flash of light, like these specific events. They draw us together into the now. They make us very present and aware in the moment, right? Into a placement of yourself where it cannot be avoided. So they're really making us self-aware and aware of one another, which is beautiful. They go on to say, to perceive it thus, as a central sun that you are part of, as a magnetic point of reference that can draw you forward, you need only lean in now and feel it calling. And this is referring to this connection between all of us, how we all are all connected to one another. That feel it like a central sun. So think about that as a metaphor. The sun is a source of energy, and think about how the sun is so powerful. It's like the most powerful thing in our knowledge, in our experience. The most powerful thing we have ever experienced is the sun. And so they're saying, perceive it thus, as that the connection between all of us as a central sun. So in other words, as the most powerful thing about us is our connection to one another. Yeah, beautiful. All right, they go on to say, I love this, another angel word of the day, the temerity of the times adjacent, which draw you backward, which pull you against this flow, they are stronger yet still. And temerity means excessive confidence, right? A foolhardy attempt or opposition. So I love that. It's basically saying that there may be forces against you right now, but they are foolhardy. They have no chance of stopping you, right? That's what they're trying to say with this word temerity. They're saying excessive confidence, that they're saying there's no way that you can be stopped from moving up your consciousness in this shift, in this great shift that we're going through. So the temerity, the excessive confidence, the foolhardy confidence of the times adjacent. So in other words, the things that pull us backward, the things that prevent us from our shift, the times adjacent, which draw you backward, or basically when they say times adjacent, the way things have been in the past, these old structures, all of that, right? Those times which draw you backward, which pull you against this flow, they are stronger, yet still, they are stronger than the pull to come forward. They draw you into hesitation, limitation, suspicion, and judgment, but they are faltering. They are crumbling now, even as we speak. They are drawing into their own clothes and finding themselves ricocheted from within by the violence and indeterminate malevolence which is found there. So yeah, so beautiful paragraph and potent, like really potent paragraph there. So I love that they name here. So what is happening when we feel limitation, suspicion, judgment, right? What is it? Yeah, hesitation, limitations, and it's a big one, hesitation, limitation, suspicion, and judgment. When we feel those things, we are falling backwards, right? And they name it in a really positive way here, right? That's the draw toward the way things used to be. So rather than moving forward, leaning in to the light, to the highest aspects of who we are, that we feel this pull against us that makes us hesitate, right? That limits our trust in ourselves and our trust in others, our trust in spirit, right? That limitation is a big one. Suspicion. So that's where we're kind of like looking at everybody as if the world is against us, that things aren't working in our favor, right? And then the judgment was where that looking at things we've done and thinking they're wrong, or who we are and thinking we're wrong. So they kind of just in one fell swoop, they kind of named it all right there. Yeah, but they say those energies are faltering. They're drawing to a close. And I love this phrase, finding themselves ricocheted. And ricochet is like, and I love in the description, the dictionary, they talk about it's a rebound, like a bullet that bounces. So they're even referring here to the violence. It's a term related to bullets. The ricochet from within. By the violence and indeterminate malevolence. Malevolence is spiteful. It's deep-seated desire to see another suffer. So, and indeterminate, this sort of like it's like it doesn't really care who it settles on, right? It's just meanness, really. And so that energy, right? That energy is still there. It's still stronger than the pull to move into the light, but not for long, is what they're saying here. That's the key from this paragraph, not for long. And let me see your guys' comments if I can without dropping everything. And you're saying, sorry, it's hard to see it on my phone. Here you're saying, I have been a workhorse for 30 years. I recently got ill where I'm unable to work, opened up my spirituality and my journey. Oh my gosh. I hope that you feel better, and how amazingly purposeful is that? Sometimes the only way to make us stop what we're doing is to make us sick. That's like think about COVID, like the only way to get the world to stop and go internal and be in our own energy for a little while, to stop the hustle, the constant going where we're constantly trying to escape ourselves, was to bring out COVID, right? So, and who cares how it started or where it came from? Just think about what it did. Yeah. And you're saying, sounds like that's living, in Carmen instead of Karma instead of Dharma. And then going on, it says, I'm not sure I got that one. So just a side note, I've not had as many buffers on your phone. Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. So I think that the connection, I connected my computer via a cord as opposed to doing Wi-Fi. So I think that's helping, even though I'm doing this on my phone. So it's Mercury. I'm just working my way through it. I'm just in the flow, allowing it to be what it is. Yep. You know what I think when stuff like this happens, when you have like tech problems or things that are annoying, I always think that there are certain energies, certain breezes that come to the planet at different times. It's like with astrology. There's like right now, there is an energy of Mercury in retrograde. So when little things happen, sometimes that are annoying, sometimes the little things happen to express that energy so that a bigger, worse thing doesn't happen. So in other words, I'll take a little tech difficulty, no problem, if it saves me a plane crash. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of how I think about it. Like, oh, a little minor upset. This is just, the energy is just working away. It's got to go somewhere. So I might as well work out. I got a little fix here. I can make do, much better than expressing in some much more annoying way. So, or even tragic way, So yeah, so that's kind of how I roll with it. All right, next paragraph. And I love this. And they say, this I think is beautiful. So then they say, okay, they are crumbling now as we speak. They are drawing to their own close and finding themselves ricocheted from within by the violence and indeterminate malevolence which is found there, which it really means that it will tear down itself. Is that energy will implode is kind of how they're describing it. That it's basically they're using the energy of this malevolence to feed on itself so that it consumes itself is sort of the message, which is a beautiful thing, right? That it will just burn itself out, which they've gotten to mention that before too, about the energy of exhaustion, that it will burn itself to the ground. And then they say, you will find yourselves repelled by this increasingly and drawn to the center. So that is part of it. Part of how we find each other, part of how we set down our guard and we learn to trust one another is because we are repelled by the polycrisis and the things that are happening in the world. And we realize we need one another. All right. So then they go on to say, the center of what? The center of who and how? It is yourselves, dears. It is the truth of who you are. It is the unity that lives within each and combined you all together. It is the sense of who you are as one and one another. It is the sense of yourself as rising into a new time frame. And I want to draw attention to the fact that they don't just say it's your sense of yourself as one another, because they said before that in one of the messages we got, I think probably 6 months ago, they mentioned that as we move into this shift, to the great shift in consciousness, that we are not meant to forget the lessons of separation. That think about if like being the drop in the ocean, that when a drop of water goes back into the ocean, you can't really find the drop anymore. It just becomes the ocean. But we aren't meant to do that. We're not meant to be the Borg where we join the all and then we lose ourselves. We're meant to remember ourselves. We're meant to keep the lessons that we've learned through separation of really knowing who we are, what we want, what motivates us, how we are unique in our expression. Like that's important, really important that we remember that as we move into the whole. So we're meant to do both. We're meant to be able to be in the whole, to swim in the ocean, but also know who we are inside that ocean. So think about that like with the angels, that the angels describe themselves as a unity consciousness, as an essence, actually. They're an essence and they are everywhere. But within that essence, there are all these different identities of different angels. So if I call Archangel Michael, he can appear next to me. You know what I mean? Like here he is. And he can come out of the essence and congeal into that particular form of angelic consciousness, into that identity. That identity is real, right? But it can come from the all, but it's never forgotten. He as an individual is not lost in the all. Yeah. So that's what we're meant to do too. And so that's, I think, when they reference here, it is a sense of who you are as one and one another. So it's being yourself and connected to everyone. It is the sense of yourself as rising into a new time frame. All right. So then they go on next paragraph, and this is beautiful. They say, and poignant, yes, we hold aloft the barrier to your knowledge when. And poignant means evoking a keen sense of regret and sadness. So poignant, yes, we hold aloft the barrier to your knowledge when. So I think this is like they're saying here that they would love to be able to tell us exactly when. They know we want to know. They would love to be able to say, and you are going to rise on this date. But there's a huge element of free will. And so they can't tell us, right? And I think they're saying poignant. Yes, it's poignant for us and poignant for them. Poignant for us because we would like to know. You know what I mean? And we're like, well, why wouldn't you guys just tell us? And it's also poignant for them because they would love to be able to tell us. They would love to just be able to do whatever we ask, So, but they do things for our highest and best. So we hold aloft the barrier to your knowledge when. So they're kind of keeping that there for us, that option. And really what I see that as free will, as free choice. Then they say, when shall it arrive for us? When shall we come full term? When shall we reach the pinnacle of our own expression? And we say the timing holds you thus still assembled ready, and accumulating what is needed within your hearts, within your energy. The forces must conspire between you. So key here, really key, is that number one, we have to accumulate the energy. This makes so much sense to me because every time I raise my frequency, it takes energy. And I know it like when I first started working with the angels, it wiped me out. Like I was exhausted. And like, I remember like between sessions when I was first doing sessions, when I stepped up and started doing, I was running 2 different programs and I had a bunch of sessions and I took on more than I probably was ready for. And so I had to sleep between sessions. I would do a session, I would take a nap, take a nap. And until I finally realized I started doing intermittent fasting, resting my path is to heal through my digestion. That's just kind of how my path was created. So by doing that, I rested my digestion and then my energy was fine, but I had to tweak something to free up energy. And I see it. Those of you who have done my angelic frequency series, which is a series of 9 frequencies that have never been to the planet before, that they brought through in these beautiful sessions, these beautiful 90-minute sessions, meditations that are meant to help us move into this shift. And in those sessions, the divine wisdom that you see, that there are 2 sessions, I think it's number 1 and number 4, where they, one is increasing our connection to ground and the other is increasing our connection to our higher selves. And in both of those, they use the same technique, which is before they do the connection, they go in and they eliminate something from our energy. They free us from something. So in one, for example, they free us from expectations that we had. So expectations are like an energy draw. So imagine if you were saying to yourself, well, I have the expectation that I'm going to move, in a year to a new home. So you are sending energy out to that new home, like constantly coming from you is this flow of energy going towards trying to create this new home in the future. And so if you stop doing that, if you stop flowing energy to other things, you have more energy for you. So if we cut expectations or limit, and some of those expectations are things that we shouldn't be expecting, right? Some of them are not even good for us. So if we can limit those, it frees up energy in our system. That's exactly what they did in one of the sessions was expectations. They first went through, cleared expectations, and then that freed up enough energy in the system for us to be able to connect. So I see this, and I didn't understand that until afterwards. I kind of transcribed the sessions, went back and looked at and read and saw that this was the same technique they used both times when they were trying to do the connection. So it really, and then I've seen it over and over again and for myself, like when I've had to raise my frequency, when they've been pushing me to grow, they're always pushing me to grow. They never let me sit on my laurels. They're always giving me the boot out of the nest. Like every time I get comfortable, they give me the boot. And, but every time I get really tired and I have to find ways to free up energy. And most of the time it's through healing. I work on myself. I have dreams that show me, hey, you got a little more something here to clear. So I clear it and that helps me free up more energy. So it's all about the energy. We are vibration. And so for this shift in consciousness, we have to accumulate energy inside of us to help us make the shift. We have to grow. So they're giving us these big boosts of energy, which are going to help us, right? But then on top of that, what can we do to get out of our own way to free up enough energy in us so that we can make the shift more easily? Yeah. So that's what they're talking about here. So then accumulating what is needed within your hearts, within your energy. So we have to accumulate enough power in our energy, like in order to be able to make the leap. Yeah. And then I love here, then they say, the end of that paragraph, they say the forces must conspire between you. So this is really referring to the fact that this is not a solo journey, that this shift is something that we have to rely on one another to be able to do, because it's all about unity. It's about loving one another. And so we start, step 1 is clearing ourselves, loving ourselves. And when I say clearing, I mean really accepting, like loving all parts of ourselves, accepting the emotions that we have, letting them be felt, loving ourselves fully. And when we love ourselves, we open our heart, and then we are able to love one another. And through this new ability we're going to be getting, which is that ability to perceive one another fully, we will see each other in our fullness and be able to love all parts of each other. So imagine how beautiful that will be, how accepted everybody's going to feel. Like that is so incredible, right? Yeah. And Sharon is saying, how did you clear the energy? Do you mean the energy like when for myself, like when I have wounds come up? My healing process, my healing process has evolved dramatically through the course of my journey. But the way I do it now is I work with the angels. I open up. So I find something, like sometimes I'll be feeling off, or I'll notice that there's something bothering me, or I'll dream about it. My dreams will show me, hey, you got a little bit more something here. So then I will go into meditation. If it's a dream, I go back into the dream and I work with what showed up in the dream, and I rework that in my consciousness. And as it's rising, as I feel it, I try consciously to bring the emotion up to the surface. And then I open up and I allow the angels to come in, and they kind of take it out. But I feel it. I have to feel, I'm in the process of feeling it. And then they sort of scoop it up and out. But it used to be, before I was able to connect with them as well as I feel now, in the beginning, it would be, so my big challenge I had was that I couldn't feel my feelings. My coping mechanism as a kid was to leave my body. So when I was under stress, or when I was scared, or when I felt bad things, when I felt hurt or unloved or whatever it was, I would just leave my body and I wouldn't feel it. It was a lot easier if I'm back there, you know what I mean? And I can do anything when I'm not in my body. So that was sort of my technique, was to leave. But that was great in terms of dealing with crisis or dealing with, life. But when it came to trying to feel my feelings, it was really hard because I couldn't. So what I ended up doing is I learned, and I worked with a lot of different healers, had lots of help on my journey. And it was a constant, like I was constantly working on it, constantly trying, and constantly working with different healers. And I found that if I could, so say, for example, I would have a knowledge that, okay, I feel off, something's wrong. I don't know what that emotion is. I just know I feel bad. I don't feel great. So something's off. I would go into that feeling. I would try first, if you can't feel your feelings, try to locate it in your body. Even if it's not real, just say, okay, go into your body in your mind's eye. Where is it? Do you have a density? Think of it as a density. Could be in your liver, could be on your back, could be in your left elbow, could be anywhere. And it doesn't matter if it's accurate or not. All it matters is that you visualize it in your mind or feel it in your body. So feel a density, right? And try to perceive it for real. Like if you can perceive it for real, phenomenal. But don't get hung up on it being accurate or not, because it's not that important. What matters is that you're consciously working on it. So feel for the density, locate it in the body, decide where it is, right? Once you have it chosen, you're like, okay, it is in my elbow. Then imagine that it's a color. Ascribe a color. It's purple, it's green, whatever color it is. It's black, it's mud, whatever, right? Imagine it a color. Then go into that. Imagine that you're focusing on that, and try to feel the color and let that color expand, and try to visualize that color filling up your entire body. Like let it grow and grow, like go into it and give it permission to fill your whole body, grow, like blow it up until it fills your whole body. And then try to have that go then outside of your body to fill up your entire aura. So try to make it as big as you possibly can, and then try to hold it and really trying to like sustain as much as you can. And what you will find is that it will become difficult to remember that color will start to, it's like it slips. It starts to dissipate. It starts to go in like literally 90 seconds. So, and if ideally feelings will be coming up, and you will notice as you do this practice, like try to name the feeling. Like as you're going into it, as you find the density, try to give it a name. If you spend time with it, you can kind of hunt around. Am I feeling rejected? Am I feeling unloved? Am I feeling like, hunt around. You might be able to name it. If you can name it, even better. Because giving it a name makes it so the body starts to, oh, this is what that is. I know what that feeling is. Okay. Then you try to fill the whole body with that feeling, which you're now seeing as a color. And then you'll find as you do this, and you're not attached to it, you're just letting it fill you up, just reaching for it, trying to find all of it. And then it will just pass outside of your body. Because you can't. When you're feeling the feeling, your heart is like a processor. When your heart feels it, it is de facto pushing it through and out of your body. It's processing it. So if you're allowing it to be felt, you are moving through the feeling. So that is how I used to do it. And it works great. So anyways, that's a long description. Hopefully that's of service. Yeah. So, but it really does help to have help. Like that is why there are so many light workers here on the planet. We are meant to help each other. This is not meant to be a solo journey. So like help each other, like find a healer. Like I am a healer. I offer loads of healing programs. I am delighted to help you. But there are healers all around you, right? There are people in your neighborhood that are healers, and you probably just haven't met them yet. So there's people, in our communities that are healers. So yeah, doing it by yourself is so much harder because it's really, really hard to see yourself, hard to see your own wounds. And having a healer hold space for you, it is an enormous, it will speed up your progress. So that's what I would ask is can you do it all by yourself? Yeah, you can certainly it's great. If you're working by yourself, it's better than not working. But we are meant, like when you work with a healer, you are relieving their karma and yours. And then you will turn around and help someone else. So that is how we're meant to be. Like humanity, we are meant to be reliant and help one another. Like that's kind of the goal. So you will think about it as like you will 10x your progress if you have help. So I highly recommend it. And so I would suggest my peace bathing program because it's not expensive. It's once a month as a healing practice that you can come in and join. Oh my gosh. And we have healing this Sunday. Peace bathing is this Sunday. So if you don't yet have a healing practice, come and join us peace bathing this Sunday. And I will put the link in the comments so you guys have it and in the description. But yeah, peace bathing is an amazing healing program. And it's once a month. You come and then you use the meditation all week. And I mean, all month. And it opens up a connection between you and the angels. Every time you use that meditation, you can bring in what happened to you that day, what feelings are coming up, and let the angels work with you because everybody needs help. Yeah. So, all right. What are you guys saying? And you're saying, yep, that's what I was thinking. Okay, awesome. And then Michelle said, you come across a divinely protected, what it means. Oh, I'm not sure I'm following. Could you give me a little more context? And then Teresa said, I don't get bad feelings much anymore, but when I did last time, I went out and hugged my tree and it took it away. I could feel the energy running through it. Isn't that amazing? I know so many of you have like beautiful connections to nature, to the elementals, like whatever you feel called, like, yeah, use that. And you're saying, oh, great advice. You're very welcome. Awesome. Yeah. So, all right. So let's get back into the message. All right. So then they say, so the end of the forces must conspire between you. So that's what I mean. Get a healer. Everybody needs a healer. Every healer needs a healer. I have healers, everybody needs healers because it helps. So the forces must conspire between you. The timing, next paragraph, the timing gently must beat to a rhythm of your own congruence. It must come through you, for you. It must rise within you. It cannot be done in a solitary manner. It must come from around, within, and through you, right? So there they are saying it's the timing gently known. In other words, it's not specific it's not the same for everyone. It's gently known. It is going to happen for you in the perfect timing for you. And it's going to beat to a rhythm of your own congruence. Congruence is like where everything is in agreement. So in other words, when your resistance is cleared, right? So that's what's got to happen. We got to clear our resistance to ourself. We have to reach a place of self-love. It must come through you, for you. It must rise within you. It cannot be done in solitary manner. So we're not meant to do it alone. It must come from around, within, and through you. Next paragraph. And the timing will happen as you are supplied the energy of your own focus. It will come to and through you as you are ready to allow it. As your own nature becomes freed, as your self-reliance increases and your sense of otherhood is developed. So it's both. It's self and other. It's that idea that we have to remember who we are, right? That we have to stay connected to our sense of identity and our motivation and what brings us joy as we connect to the whole, so we don't become the Borg. So, all right. Next paragraph, they say, in the unknown, the template of love will change, and who you are and have suffered to become will not be as you are currently known. You will feel yourself as one another, with one another, for one another. It is not as it has been. So this, I love this as a reassurance that it's like, we've talked about before, it's like the world can't change until we change. And they're saying here that we are going to change, and that is what is going to change the world, right? That it's not going to, humanity will not be the way we've always been. So that's what makes this big shift possible. Yeah. Going on, they say the time frames will change now as you incorporate more of what is energy. So this is like the energy that's coming to the planet. So the timing will change. It speeds up. So these energies that are coming to the planet are going to help us. So we're not meant to do this entirely by ourselves. Just like they said, it's like we're meant to do work on ourselves and receive help. It's both. It has to be, which is perfect. It's right. It's masculine and feminine energy. We're giving and receiving for ourselves. Yeah. more of what is allowing, what is graceful within your own heart, as you open within to receive the blanketing tendrils of energy that weave their way through this plane of existence. They are moving across the surface even now as we are speaking, finding, holding, relieving you of the pressures that you've known, lifting you as though you alone have been selected. I love that. I love that image and the feeling of that. You know what I mean? It's like this awareness. Like think of it as like tendrils, like these gentle little like flows, these little vines that are coming through to find you. And each one of these is going to wrap around you like a little gentle hug and lift you up, right? Like as if you alone were the one that was like, that it came looking for you, right? That it wanted to lift you, to rise you, to help you, to relieve you of the things that are painful to you. So it is this idea that the energies that are coming, that are here on the planet now, but that are increasing, and then these large flashes of light that we're expecting, that they are going to reach out to each of us. And all we got to do is be open, and then we increase that by doing our own self-work, coming to a place of self-love, right? Where we remove the resistance so that we can flow more energy. Yeah, beautiful. All right, then going on, next paragraph. But to know within your heart that oneness pervades all in this instantiation of humanity, that all move forward who care to, all are drawn into the rhythm of this ascension, should they only release their attachment to what is and allow the new, the unknown, to take hold into fruition. So that's big. They just keep saying we got to release and allow, let go of the way things have been. Yeah. And you're saying, same that, and to trust my higher connection. Yeah. And Rebecca says, the idea of the favorite child, everyone is the favorite child. Yes, you're so right. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And Michelle says, I've been told several times by many that I am divinely protected. This has come to several times. Last time I was read, again, they said, you are divinely protected. Make it a point to tell me. I have tried to research it. I so appreciate. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I agree. And I think it's a beautiful feeling to know that, I mean, like every one of us has a guardian angel, and that guardian angel is like, they are the guardians of our divine spark, of the flame that's inside of us. They protect our soul, is that our souls are eternal, and they each one of us is so protected. Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, so let's go on to the next paragraph. Then they go on to say, here it is. The timing, therefore, is driven partly by what is within you, by what is held in your own hearts. There will be moments of ascension between you. There will be shared experiences ungovernable, which shall come and lift you into a celebratory pose of having risen. Moments upon which you can dwell and remind one another you are cared for. There are times in the near now which shall rise in between and lift you. I love this. So it's saying, yeah, part of it is inside of us, but then part of it is going to be these moments of ascension that's going to happen for everyone. And they say that these are shared experiences, ungovernable. In other words, that no one can stop it, right? Nobody, even people who are against it, they can't stop it. It is ungovernable, right? Which shall come and lift you into a celebratory pose of having risen. So we will feel when these come, it'll be a dramatic shift. It won't be a little bitty shift. It'll be like, whoa, okay, we are different now. And angels have said, the way they describe the flash of light, this first flash of light that's coming, they described it as the moment that humanity will look back on and say, that was the moment that changed everything. So it will be a biggie when it comes. And it'll give us, it'll happen, and we will be in a pose of celebration, right? So we will say, whoa, it happened and we are changed. Moments upon which you can dwell and remind one another you are cared for. Don't you love that? Yeah, there are times in the near now, coming soon, that'll rise between and lift you. So cool. And they said for the timing of the flash of light, they've mentioned it 2 times now. They said that it happens in the middle of the ruckus. So in the middle of some of the crazy events that we know are coming. So we all can feel, the angels said that war is increasing. We can feel that happening in real time. And they've been talking about that for a long time, for years. But now it's happening. So it's things are, and they've said, they've been talking about really since the beginning of the year that things are speeding up. It's happening now. We're coming into the periods of chaos. So we're going to have increasing war this year. We're going to have potentially, chaos in the U.S. government as we head in towards the election season. We're going to, there's going to be the splitting of the United States is happening at some point soon. I don't know when, but in the middle, think of all that chaos and disruption. And then not to mention increasing volcanic and earthquake activity and potentially getting to the earth rift that they've talked about. So chaos and a bunch of, and economic turmoil, big economic turmoil. So in the middle of all that is when the flash of light comes. So which makes sense because they got to shake us loose from all of our structures so that we can be open to receive a light. Yeah. All right. So then they go on to say, ascension in your own frequency is driven partly by the external force, by these external forces, and partly by the rhythms within, by your own heart beating into the new. Thus, the timing for each of you shall be governed by your own choices, by your own dignity of expression, by your own willingness to allow it there. Beautiful. Then they go on, next paragraph. We say, have no fear of being left behind. I love that. That is definitive. Have no fear, no chance, right? No chance of being left behind, of losing focus, of being left below in some other choice. For you are with us. You are with us in every moment, in every day, in every second. And in the thoughts that pass, in the sufferings that are felt, you may be drawn into a temporary, regretful feeling. But this we know and can allow. So I think this is such a beautiful acknowledgement that the journey that we are not on is not a linear one, that we go through times where we feel really strong, where we feel like really up and really great and really excited about what's happening. And then there's times where that's not the case. There's times where we are really aware of how hard it is, where we feel really set back or set down. And they're acknowledging that here. And so they're saying there's no chance of being left below in some other choice. Like I think that is powerful. Like I think really what they're telling us there is that idea that we do have free will, but that at the end of the day, we chose to be here. We chose to come. And so even if we're here and in a moment we choose something else, we're like, I am done with this. This stinks. I don't want to be here. That feels like another choice. But they're saying, don't worry about it. We know, like we understand. They said you were with us in every moment. And in those thoughts, like if you're in a moment of suffering that are felt, you may be drawn into a temporary or regretful feeling. So they're acknowledging you're going to have low moments and that's okay. It's not going to interfere with your shift. They say, but this we know and can allow. So they're saying, don't worry about it. They know at the whole what you want. Then they go on to say, know within your choices, within the source of your own divine aspirations, there is wisdom that speaks you here. That is so beautiful. So it is that idea of like your higher self. Your higher self knows why you're here. Your higher self knows you want to be part of this. And that's the wisdom that speaks you into incarnation, that speaks you here. So cool. That draws you to this change, that draws you to this surrendering, and you will make this voyage with us. So it's really that idea that your higher self knows that you are meant to be here. You came here by choice and you're going to make it. They go on next paragraph to say, we bring you peace and the suggestion to raise your own vibration, to draw into your own hearts what can be light, what can be tolerated. Interesting choice of words because the light it's hard for us to tolerate when we are in resistance. Think of it as like you're pushing super, super hard against the flow of the river. And if the river pushes back a little harder, you can't, like it's exhausting because you're resisting it, right? So it's like if the light is increasing and you've got a lot of resistance in your body, it's hard to tolerate. I will tell you, so I'm also a hands-on healer. It was part of my gifting that I was given that gift or chose that gift coming in to help me heal my own masculine energy. It's a masculine gift. And when you channel healing as a hands-on healer, you heal your own masculine energy. So it's a beautiful thing. And I was meant to use mine to help me heal my digestion. But that's my journey. Some people come and that is their, people who have hands-on healing as their main gift, it tends to be very, very powerful, which is awesome. But my point is that when I was using it on people, if I was working with somebody who had a lot of resistance in their body, the energy would go in and it would bounce back and it would come back into my body. And then I would heat up like the thermostat was just set at 130. Like I would just start sweating bullets. And I didn't understand at first what that meant until I realized that that's resistance. That is the energy hitting resistance and bouncing back. Isn't that crazy? It's just like electricity. Yeah. So interesting. But anyways, it's what can we tolerate? How much can we tolerate? Even now, even higher now, your perception may climb. So in other words, there's more available to us now than ever before. More of yourself is waiting for discovery. You may simply open your hearts to what you are. Allow yourself to be and become your fullest. to see what you are, a blessing through and through. So this is the path. The path is through self-acceptance, self-love, right? If coming to peace with all the parts and all the memories, everything that's happened to you, coming to peace with all of it and loving yourself through all of it. Yeah. All parts, all aspects, all memories of you must be held as sacred. And in this process, you alleviate from yourself the resistance that draws you from us. For we are what you are. And as you callously reject the tender parts of your own soul, we are rejected with you. We draw you to us in the gentlest of embraces and whisper our prayers of ascension. That last paragraph is my favorite thing. That like makes my week. Yeah, so beautiful. So let me just look and see what you guys are adding. You said, I've heard that Passover is a time of double remembrance of a time. So that could be like, there's been a lot of stuff, people talking about Passover. Like then there's so many different things they've talked about that are coming. Like, I think that we are on the edge of a lot of war violence, which is unfortunate, but that stuff has to play out. Like these energies, they're going to work their way out in one way or another. And it's devastating, but it's like, so yeah, so I don't know if what's happening now, the angel said it was heavy in the spring. I think it's already heavy. What we've had now, some major earthquakes, a volcano, like another war, like, yeah, this is a heavy spring. We'll see what else happens, but whether it's going to be over Passover, if we get the earth rift, I don't know. Yeah, we will see. We will see what happens. I think the earth rift actually, okay, so here's a thought. I remember this just now, that the earth rift, I think, puts a stop to the wars. So I think war increases, and then the earth rift is the big event that stops. Like, it's almost like, imagine if there's this massive, massive, devastating thing that happens, and it kind of makes everybody stop what they're doing and start helping each other. That's kind of the vibe. And then in the middle of all the chaos, the flash of light hits. So that's kind of the place. So I think war comes first, and then we have the earth rift. So I've forgotten about that. But yeah, so I remember them saying that it's like it makes the war stop. Yeah. So that at least helps us a little bit in terms of knowing when things will happen. And I think the war is probably going to get worse before it gets better. So, all right, you guys, just looking through, making sure I didn't miss you guys. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you for your patience with my technical problems. We made it. Even if it was kind of a kludge, we made it happen. So sending you guys tons of love, and I will see you guys next Friday live. Bye, you guys.